What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I just finished watching episode 5 of House of the Dragon. Y'all, before I begin, let me just remind you that my reaction to this and all of the episodes for House of the Dragon is going to be under my YouTube memberships. If you're not a member, you will not be able to see it. So go over there and check that out. I have 2 levels over there. One is for $2.99 and one is for $4.99. The $2.99 will get you priority replies from me. It will get you special polls, maybe some shout outs, and also some live streams with me. Also, level 2 will get you everything that level 1 has. Plus, you're going to get all of my reactions to all of the shows that I watch, any movies that I watch, and all of my uncut try not to laughs. So go over there and check that out. Now, there is so much to unpack at the end of this episode. So throughout this whole episode, we see that it was kind of a slow-ish episode. Like, it wasn't boring, but it was doing what it was supposed to do. It was telling its story, right? So, of course, we see here that Rhaenyra is obviously, it has to choose, her husband, or has to be with the husband that they chose, which is the Valerian brother. I forgot his first name. But in the very beginning of this episode, we see who Daemon's wife is. Now, what happens to her is beyond me. Like, basically, she interacts with a cousin at one point. They're on the horses. She's going to go hunting. She goes, and of course, this psychopath is standing right there in her way. And she's basically like, what brought you here? Like, why are you here? Are you here to reconcile? And she clearly heard what happened between him and Rhaenyra because she made a comment about it. So he basically was there to attack her. So long story short on that, he did attack her. He attacked the horse. She fell, cracked her neck, and now she's just laying there paralyzed. So he basically was just going to leave her there. The horse runs off. He was going to leave her there. But then she says something to him. She's like, I knew you couldn't finish it. I'm like, girl, I would have just laid there and not said anything. And hopefully somebody would have came. But then, of course, he kills her. We know that. So now Rhaenyra is trying to figure out how she can have her cake and eat it too. Meanwhile, the king's right-hand man, he's fired. He's got to go. But he has told his daughter, like, look, you chose this to happen to me. You ended up believing Rhaenyra. And, I know she feels hella bad about it. But he basically warned her, like, look, there's a war coming because she is the next heir of the throne, and a queen has never been that. And, they're not going to like that. And so to me, it seems like maybe he was trying to protect the king. Maybe he was trying to do something to protect them, or maybe something to prevent this war. But now that he's not around, it's like, what's going to happen now? Because now she may have to sacrifice her own kids to deal with all this stuff if it's not Rhaenyra, because she's a female. Like, there's so much happening. And she feels hella bad now. She's having second thoughts about it. So at one point, she's talking to, what's his name? The guard who Rhaenyra got into, did things with. And they're basically talking, she's talking to him, and I guess she's trying to get information out of him. But instead, he tells on himself because she is trying to figure out what other information she can get about Rhaenyra, because now she knows that Rhaenyra is lying to her, or has lied to her. So he tells on himself, right? He tells on himself, and I think that she's so taken aback by the fact that not only did Rhaenyra do what she did with her uncle, but she also did it with somebody else. So I think she was thrown off and more hurt at the fact that Rhaenyra lied to her, that she spared him because she, I think, was supposed to fire him, or, you know, whatever it is that they do when things go wrong. He was supposed to basically be punished, and she let him go. So, long story short, you know, I guess the families meet up. You can tell that the Valerian brother is gay because his parents, after meeting the king and then discussing the conditions as to what's going to happen when they get married and if they have children and whose name they're going to carry and all this stuff, you know, they made a deal. I'm not going to really get into that because that's not all that deep. But so they're talking to each other, and, you know, you see the parents kind of talking, and they know. And his father thinks that he'll outgrow it. He's just young, and his mother doesn't seem so sure. So then you see him with his, you know, his boyfriend or whatever, or whoever he is, because nobody knows he's gay, of course. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to go about it. So him and Rhaenyra are talking while they're walking the coast. And they basically said, like, all right, we could get married, but you do you and I do me, basically. And they seem to be okay with that. So, long story short, let's get to the good part. So, towards the end of this episode, they're all preparing for... Now, let me just say this. I feel bad for the guard because the guard who's guarding Rhaenyra, I keep forgetting his name, but anyway, he really loves her. Like, he wants to be with her, and he basically told her, like, yo, let's get away, let's get out of here. We don't have to worry about names, crowns, all this other stuff. Marry me. This will be for love. And she basically she's not for it at all. So, long story short, they're preparing to, I guess they're having some type of reception or whatever. So, they're having this dinner, and they're presenting all the families, and, you know, they get together, and finally they arrive. The one who's supposed to be marrying Rhaenyra, they arrive, and, you know, everybody's settling in. Then Damien shows up, and I'm like, who the heck? Who invited you? So then the queen isn't sitting next to the king. She shows up late in the middle of his speech, and everybody's just like, uh-oh, that's not good. So I'm like, all right, this isn't going to end well. Like, I can see the drama now, right? So after that happens, they get up, they dance after talking for a while. They're dancing. Now you see his boyfriend eyeing the guard. He notices how he's looking, and he's like, okay, now he's connecting the dots, right? So as everybody gets up to dance after they have their own dance, now things start happening. So the queen gets up to talk to her uncle. They're basically like, we got your back, whatever it is that they're talking about. The king is kind of just observing everything, right? Then the soon-to-be husband's boy toy goes over and talks to Rhaenyra's love interest. And he's basically like, we both love them very, very deeply, and we're invested in this couple, you know, basically more than anybody knows. So he didn't seem to like that. So now at this point, you see the Valerian, the daughter, she's giving Damien the googly eyes, and I'm like, girl, don't do it. So there's all these things are happening within the last 10 minutes of this episode, right? So then they go off to dance. Everybody's dancing. Now Damien's making his way to Rhaenyra. Now they're sitting there talking their language, and she's basically like, make me your wife and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, what? What are you talking about? Girl, are you So he grabs her by the face in front of everybody as if he wanted to kiss her right then and there. Then chaos erupts. At this point, you don't know who's fighting who, what happened. The king is getting up and he's like, where's Rhaenyra? What's going on? Meanwhile, before all of this happened, Damien's wife's cousin goes up to him and basically tells him, like, I know what happened to her and it wasn't an accident. I'm making an accusation. I'm letting you know. So now the new king's right-hand man is watching this whole conversation go down. He's not saying anything, but he's watching. Now fast forward to all of this whole fight that happens. Now the king is in a state where, mind you, he is so sickly in this episode. Like, he is so sick. At one point, I just pulled my earring out. At one point, I thought that he like died in the middle of the episode. But no, he's just very sickly at this point. He's coughing. He was on a boat. At first, I thought it was motion sickness. But then I was just like, oh no, like he's really sick. Something's up. So he's very sickly at this point. So at this party, you see his nose starts bleeding. Nobody knows where Rhaenyra is. Everybody's getting pushed out of the way. Then all of a sudden we see exactly who's fighting. It's Rhaenyra's love interest and her future husband's boy toy. They're sitting here fighting, and all of a sudden Rhaenyra's boo starts stabbing him, but he's like really going at him. I don't know if he's like in a state of, yo, like you ain't telling nobody this secret type of thing, or he was pissed off at the situation or what. I don't know what happened, but when he was done with him, he demolished him. He killed him right then and there. Like it was done at this point. So they wasted no time. And then obviously you see Rhaenyra's future husband screaming and crying over him. So I'm like, oh my God, at this point, everybody knows his secret because he's going nuts. They've got to know something, right? So now they wasted no time marrying them. And at this point, they're getting married. You see Rhaenyra's, then they switch off and you see Rhaenyra's love interest. I keep saying that because I keep forgetting his name. He basically goes out to the courtyard and is getting ready to kill himself. And the queen comes out, and I think his name is Christopher, something like that. I don't know. But she says his name and she stops him. So this is like the second time that she saves him. So then in the midst of all this, you see that now they're getting married and Rhaenyra feels bad and he's up there crying. You know, her future husband is up there crying. And I'm like, this is so twisted and emotional and sad and crazy all at the same time. And I'm like, my emotions are all over the place right now. And then the king falls out. Like, he literally faints. And at this point, I don't know if he just faints because he's sick at this point, or we don't know what happened. He just faints. And that was it. And I'm like, this was so... The ending of this episode was like what the whole episode should have been. Like, so much happened at the end of this episode. It was crazy. So I cannot wait to see what happens in episode 6. But anyway, there you guys have it. When this episode, I think, was up there with a 4.5 doodles. I don't normally rate them. I give you guys my thoughts and reviews, but I don't know what's going to happen now, man. So much happened that I don't even know which way this is going to go at this point because so much happened. So, yeah. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed my review. Let me know what you guys thought of episode 5. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to hear what you guys thought of this episode. To see my reaction, you have to be a member, so go over and check that out. Become a member if you choose to do so. But in the meantime, once again, leave your comments down below. If you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel, hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!